Hello there, very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on this week's edition of News Extra, the news with the extra touch. Tonight, as usual, we have stories that will catch your fancy, no matter your preferences. The Federal Council is back to its Wednesday meeting, and our man was there to give you the details. Also today, the federal government took a bold step towards rebuilding the Northeast with the inauguration of the Northeast Development Commission Board. We have reports on security and peace building. We will visit the lawmakers of the National Assembly to hear what the lawmakers are up to. We have stories on the economy, social welfare, infrastructure development, sports, and much more. So, let's not waste time. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the package with me, Fatima Abbas Hassan. You're welcome. A meeting of the Federal Executive Council is still ongoing at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. State House correspondent Adam Sambo reports that President Muhammadu Buhari is presiding over the meeting, which commenced at 11 o'clock Wednesday morning. About 30 memoranda submitted by the various ministries, departments, and agencies are slated for consideration at the meeting. As at the time of filing this report, more than 15 of such memoranda were treated by the council members and necessary approvals secured. This is the longest meeting ever to be held by the council under the Buhari presidency. Details will come your way in our subsequent bulletins. Now, after the February 23rd presidential election, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on the 27th of February, declared President Muhammadu Buhari as the winner of the election and was thereby returned elected. Now that the elections are over, the battle has shifted to the courtrooms where petitioners and defenders are currently trading tackles. It is only in Jigawa State that election petitions tribunal is not sitting due to no petition. Daily Atumbi reports that the Presidential Election Petition Court this Wednesday commenced its inaugural sitting with a promise that the Court of Appeal, which has original jurisdiction on presidential election petitions, will dispense justice with equity on the petitions before it. Let's hear you.
Election petition tribunals. The Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, which domiciles in the Court of Appeal, is not a tribunal but a court in section that adjudicates on election petitions with regards to the conduct of the presidential election. This court serves as the trial court for the presidential election, with all the legal practitioners expected to rope in addressing the court that has exclusive jurisdiction on the matter. Addressing all the parties in the matter before it, the president of the court, Justice Zainab Bukashwa, admonished all the parties to comport themselves in line with the rules of the court. Justice Bukashwa assured the litigants of speedy dispensation of the petitions before it.
Elections are held in Nigeria every 4 years into elective positions. No matter how well the election is conducted, there are bound to be complaints. Hence, the law provides for the setting up of election petition tribunals to look into these complaints in a speedy manner.
Everybody is equal before the law, and that the matter before your authorities will be approved. Another sensitive and delicate assignment. And I want to assure you, Lordship, on their behalf, on behalf of all of us, that we have the finest behavior.
4 petitions pending before the court came for mention, with the petition filed by Ambrose Owuru of Hope Democratic Party fixed for pre-airing next week Tuesday, while that of Atiku Abubakar and the People's Democratic Party will be heard on Wednesday 15th May 2019. All the petitions are challenging the victory of President Muhammadu Buhari in the February 23 presidential election. In all, 78 panels have been put in place to adjudicate over election petitions in the states of the Federation, excluding Jigawa State, where there is no petition. The tribunals will attend to 786 petitions across the country. And with Section 239 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, the Court of Appeal has exclusive jurisdiction over petition arising from presidential eletion. It has 180 days to adjudicate over the matter. 52 days are gone, and in the next 128 days, this court will be adjudicating over 4 matters. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Thank you, Dele. Now, in other reports of the day, a 13-member governing board of the Northeast Development Commission has been inaugurated by President Muhammadu Buhari in fulfillment of his administration's pledge of regenerating the socio-economic potentials of the region, badly devastated by terrorism and insurgency. Adam Sambo tells us that the take-off grant of 10 billion naira is provided for the commission in the 2019 budget, in addition to the 45 billion naira appropriated for its operations under the Northeast Intervention Program.
Legally backed by the 2017 Act of Parliament, the Northeast Development Commission is charged with the responsibility of receiving and effectively managing funds meant for the resettlement, rehabilitation, integration, and reconstruction of damaged infrastructure for both the public as well as victims of insurgency. President Muhammadu Buhari, while inaugurating the board, said tackling the menace of poverty, illiteracy, ecological problems, and other developmental challenges in the region is also part of the Commission's mandate.
It is therefore the expectation of this government and people of the zone that you will rapidly and systematically set to work to address all areas of your mandates in a fair and equitable manner. You shall, as a matter of urgency, conduct comprehensive survey of all states in the zone to determine the reconstruction and rehabilitation needs of all the socio-economic sectors of the zone and develop an intervention master plan based on outcome of your assessments.
For a start, the President said the process of resettlement and rehabilitation of the internally displaced persons to either their original homes or new communities must commence immediately towards bringing social cohesion in the region.
You shall develop policies and implementation guidelines for immediate intervention in the development of the zone. Coordinate and promote civil-military confidence building and put in stabilization measures that will ensure continued peace and social harmony, as well as avoid the reoccurrence of violence in the zone. Let me assure you that government shall continue to provide all the necessary and enabling conditions that will facilitate the achievements of the above and ensure that all resources due to the Commission are immediately made available to the Commission.
The 13-member governing board of the Northeast Development Commission, carefully constituted based on proven track records of hard work and integrity, is chaired by the former military governor of Oyo State, retired Major General Paul Tarfa from Adamawa State, while Muhammad Alkali from Borno State is the managing director and chief executive officer.
Today, when we leave here now, we are going to sit down as a body in accordance with the Commission's dictates. We will meet and decide and choose our priorities. First, we look after the destitute, those people who are scattered all over the country. Then we decide when to go to our headquarters in Maiduguri and then commence with earnest what's ahead of us.
For the Buhari presidency, the establishment of the Northeast Development Commission is not only a fitting response to the devastating effect of the Boko Haram insurgency, but also an appreciation of the massive electoral support received from the area in both the 2015 and 2019 general elections. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Addressing the nation's emerging security threats through enhanced interagency collaboration is the focus of a training session for the armed forces. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa was at the National Defense College, venue of the event organized by the Defense Headquarters, Abuja.
The asymmetric warfare and unconventional security challenge is a dominant security threat confronting Nigeria and Nigerians. This emerging threat requires multidimensional approach to effectively tackle the menace currently truncating socioeconomic activities in northeast Nigeria. Though there are a series of ongoing joint operations, the Defense Headquarters has noticed an existing gap with emphasis on concept, doctrine, procedures, and policies, making the training apt.
Historically, the armed forces of Nigeria conducted most single service operations with varying level of support from sister services. However, recently, the place of joint and combined operations have necessitated the need for numerous joint efforts to address our challenges.
It is crucial not just for achieving physical security of lives and property, but principally because the level of success we're able to achieve in the management of the contending security issues here will demonstrate how diligent we could be in resolving all other problems as a nation.
Participants at the training are drawn from the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Ismail Musa, NTA News.
4 standing committees of the House of Representatives were this week dispatched to Port Harcourt, Rivers State to unravel the truth on allegations of killings by security operatives during the March 2019 governorship and state assembly elections. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the committees conducted a public hearing at the Rivers State House of Assembly complex.
The 4 House of Representatives committees that came down to Port Harcourt on this fact-finding mission are the House Committee on Police Affairs, House Committee on Justice, that of Human Rights, and House Committee on Army. The investigative public hearing featured oral and documentary presentations on the circumstances that led to alleged killings of persons by security personnel, among them a lecturer of the Ken Saro Wiwa Polytechnic, River State, Dr. Ferry Berigbe.
Going through this memo, I have given graphic details, local government by local government, of the atrocities perpetrated by the military during the election.
I understand that it was one of these police patrol team that shot him to death.
Elections are civil activities, a way of transiting from one democratic regime to another. But in Rivers State, it was like a battlefield.
The testimony by the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad and the Nigerian Army, however, pointed to the fact that both the police and army lost personnel due to security breach during the elections.
The Nigerian Army personnel that were at the receiving end from the political talks. A case in point was the ambush and killing of 3 soldiers of 130 Battalion while on duty to secure a faulty armor personnel carrier.
Dr. Frederick Berigbe was killed by his friends and associates and not by his foes, and most certainly not by SARS or any police unit or operative.
The public hearing is expected to continue in Abuja, after which the committees will forward recommendations to the House of Representatives for further legislative action. The lawmakers, while in Port Harcourt, visited Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers.
We are here on a fact-finding mission. We will listen to the people that are affected.
These people should help us as parliamentarians to put things in order. Let us forget about issue of party.
Lami Ali, NTA News.
Well, it's looking like some communities are appreciating the value of peace and peaceful coexistence. One of such is the security challenges in Kula community of Akukutoru Council area of Rivers State, traceable to chieftaincy tussle. We hear the conflict has been resolved and a new Kula Supreme Council of Traditional Rulers inaugurated. Kingsley Amajiri reports on the peace and unity meeting held at the community square.
The traditional rulers, chiefs, and community leaders from the Sara Royal House and Oko Royal House, who were once at war with each other, this time embraced themselves at a peace-building meeting in Kula Kingdom. King Kroma Eleki of the Sarah Royal House and King Bodilon Ekine of the Oko Royal House officially dissolved their Council of Chiefs, leading to the emergence of a new body known as Kola Supreme Council of Traditional Rulers.
We have no personal case throughout our life. So what is the reason we are fighting together for just worldly things? So today we are here to see that we work together.
If you go away now, Kola is still there. You are not bigger than Kola. So let us behave ourselves and respect constituted authority.
Stakeholders at the meeting attributed the resolution of the traditional chieftaincy crisis to the efforts of one of his illustrious sons, Jacques Stein Jr., enjoining Kola's sons and daughters to promote love and brotherliness, and called on the state government to support the initiative. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
The wife of the president, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, has stressed the need for collaboration to combat moral decadence among the youths in Nigeria. And she is leading the way with a capacity-building workshop tagged Critical Thinking for 100 Youths in Katsina State. Muhammad Salisu Awal has details of the workshop.
The Future Assured Foundation, in collaboration with National Film and Video Census Board of Nigeria, identifies the need for a quick intervention to sustain a positive attitude by the youth who are the future leaders. Wife of Kaduna State Governor Dr. Zakia Aminu Bello Masari, who represents wife of the President Hajiya Aisha Buhari, said the foreign movies and social media, as well as improper usage of mobile phones by the youth without proper monitoring, result to immoral culture.
I am happy that young people are in order to engage them as conducts for ensuring compliance.
The Director General National Film and Video Census Board in Nigeria, Adedayo Thomas, said the board remained committed to ensure a rethink by the youth regarding their exposure to improper attitude. He advised Kaduna State government to ensure the establishment of a state census board for a smooth check and balance of the unwanted messages via various mediums. The board, he said, will also serve as a revenue generation as well as job creation avenue to the state. Critical resource persons who presented papers at the occasion advised parents to always monitor the strange habits among their wards and monitor their exposure to various local and international movies.
So that we can promote our cultures, all those kind of things shown are not, they're not good for ourselves and our children.
In Katsina, Mohammed Salis Awal, NTA News.
Nigerians react to the commencement of cargo delivery by train and its impact on businesses at the Kaduna Inland Dry Port. The details when we come back after this break.
Share a mentor's, make a friend, stick together till the end. Share a mentor's, socialize, share mentors and be nice. Share mentors candy, crunchy outside, chewy inside. Stick together till the end. Enjoy mentors, have some fun. Who says no to mentors?
The Progressives Governors Forum hereby invites all present and past APC governors, all APC governors-elect, APC National Working Committee members, all former APC National Chairman, APC State Chairman, all 9th National Assembly members to its award ceremony taking place at the Banquet Hall, Presidential Villa, Abuja. Date, Friday, May 10, 2019. Time, 11 a.m. Keynote address by President Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Welcome address by His Excellency Rochas Okorocha, Chairman, Progressive Governors Forum. Goodwill message by His Excellency Comrade Adams Oshiomole, National Chairman, APC. Highlight of the event is the presentation of an award to President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Hosts, Progressive Governors. All members of the National Caucus of APC, serving and newly elected APC members of the National Assembly should be at the party secretariat by 10:45 a.m. for a bus ride to the venue of the ceremony. Attendance is strictly by invitation.
The Director General, National Space Research and Development Agency, NASDA, Professor Saidu Mohammed, invites the general public to the commissioning ceremony of projects at the agency's activity centers of excellence, Center for Geodesy and Geodynamics, Toro, Bauchi State, and National Center for Remote Sensing, Jos in Plateau State. Projects to be commissioned are Earth Network and Monitoring Center, Staff Auditorium, Administrative Building and Facilities for Very Long Baseline Interferometry Complex, and in Jos, Data Library and Auditorium. Date, Thursday 9th May 2019. Time, 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. respectively. Special guest of honor, Dr. Ogbonaya Ono. Guests of honor, His Excellency Al-Haji Mohammed Abubakar, His Excellency Right Honorable Simon Lalong, Distinguished Senator Ajayi Borofes, Honorable Benny Law. Chief host, Professor Saidu Mohammed. Hosts, Dr. Tahir Yakubu, Director, CGG Toro. Dr. Ephraim Gajere, Director, NCRS Jos. Dr. Felix Ali, Announcer.
What is it that transforms the economies of the world? More than a nation's natural resources, it is about the quality of its people. The UAE has largely transitioned from an oil-driven economy into one that is knowledge-based. And by developing their human capital, others who have little or no natural resources have become global leaders in technology and innovation. We can also do the same. Combining modern skills with entrepreneurship development will give rise to enterprises which can increase the demand and capacity for skilled labor. Our mission at the Industrial Training Fund is to provide the knowledge and skills that can meet this demand, in recognition that this combination is the global currency of the 21st century economies. And so for us, this is what it's all about.
The management of the Nigeria Television Authority, NTA, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, and Voice of Nigeria cordially invites the general public to the 14th edition of the annual Ramadan lecture, which will inshallah hold on Saturday, 18th May 2019. The topic is Tolerance in Islam, to be delivered by Sheikh Muhammad Nuruddin Lemu, Director of Research and Training, Dawah Institute of Nigeria Islamic Education Trust, Mina, Niger State. The venue for the event is Lumana Multipurpose Hall, River Road, Jabi Road East, Ngorimi Jari, Kaduna by 9 a.m. Under the distinguished chairmanship of Lamido Adamawa, His Royal Highness Muhammad Berkindo Aliyu Mustafa. The chief host is His Excellency Malam Nasr Ahmed El-Rufai, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State. Royal Father of the Day is His Royal Highness Alhaji Dr. Show Idris, CFA, Emir of Zazzau. The host, Malam Yakubi Muhammad, Director General of Nigeria Television Authority, Malam Mansur Liman, Director General of Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, and Dr. Osta Okechuku, Director General of Voice of Nigeria. Announcer Organizing Committee, you are welcome.
It's the grand finale of the Trophy Five-a-Side Tournament, coming up on the 11th of May 2019 at the Campus Mini Stadium in Lagos Island. Over 3,000 fans across the country will have a chance to win a raffle ticket for an all-expense-paid trip to Tanzania, to be won by 4 lucky winners. Catch it all live on NTA Network, Kwese TV on UHF 32, and Channel 290 on your Kwese decoder. You can also download the Kwese iFlix on your mobile devices to stream live and get every bit of the action. Trophy Five-a-Side Field of Honor, brought to you by Kwese Free Sports, the official broadcast partners.
You're welcome back. It's good to know you're out there watching. Now, the clamor for the strengthening of the local government system in Nigeria by granting it financial autonomy resonated on the floor of the Senate. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that senators canvass support for effective implementation of the new policy on local government account, which is to take effect from the 1st of June 2019, when joint local government account would only serve as a receipt account for allocation with a daily cash transaction limit of 500,000 naira.
Say aye.
For close to 2 hours, senators expressed mixed feelings on the state of the local government system in Nigeria. The feelings of resentment on the unproductive state of the local government administrations in Nigeria at the moment, and the feelings of hope for its revival through the new financial policy on local government funds. This was as a result of a motion by Senator Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, which called on government and financial institutions to ensure diligence in the implementation of the new policy, which appears to be a lifeline for the endangered tier of government.
The intent of the Constitution is clearly to support the local government in a way so that they can begin to provide one or two services and therefore help our citizens.
Whatever goes to local governments are under direct control of the chief executive officers of the states. Some of them could not even pay salaries. But it's not that the laws are not there. The laws are just complying with the laws.
No accountability. But I recall what the president said at his inaugural, that he was going to support the total autonomy of the local governments.
And there must be a kind of interface between National Assembly and the governors to let them understand the need to finally allow these local governments to have their autonomy.
The Senate has urged authorities to deploy additional coaches to the Abuja-Kaduna rail line and review its fare plan for possible reduction, as moved by Senator Ali Ndume, as it also resolved to invite the Minister of Health over alleged poor services in the Nigerian teaching hospitals, moved by Senator David Umaru.
Railway, as I said, from Abuja to Kaduna is 1,500. That is double the price of road transport fare from Abuja to Kaduna.
The prayer should have been to increase the frequency so that more people can be transported safely. We are expecting additional 12 coaches, passenger coaches, to arrive in the next 8 weeks.
The legislators called on security agencies to ensure safety and protection of people of Uzowane, local government area of Enugu State, from armed men, and to ensure the arrest of the killers of Dr. Nnamdi Ogweche of Nnamdi Azikiwe University, who was murdered recently. The motion was moved by Senator Chukwuka Otazi. Senate received the report of its committee on petroleum downstream on the promissory note program and bond issuance for 19 oil marketers' outstanding claims, as it also confirmed the nomination of Elias Mba and 29 others as chairman and commissioners of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. Well, the Senate also confirmed the nomination of Tunde Lemo and 7 other persons as chairman and members of the governing board of the Federal Road Maintenance Agency from the National Assembly. NTA News.
And still from the National Assembly is a report that says the House of Representatives at today's plenary has passed the bill for an act to amend the provisions of the Electoral Act No. 6 of 2010 and other related matters, as well as 9 other bills. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim reports that President Muhammadu Buhari had in 2018 declined assent to the bill when it was transmitted to his office.
A bill for an act to establish the National Institute of Credit Administration and that to amend the Federal Character Commission Establishment Act of 2004 to allow married women option of indigenship of their fathers or husbands were amongst the bills passed. 3 bills, including those to establish Nigeria French Language Village and Arabic Language Village as inter-university centers for studies, also passed through second reading.
Just as we did justice to the previous bill for the Arabic studies, let us do equal justice to this bill that seeks to promote French studies in Nigeria.
The question is that the bill be now read the second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it.
Motions adopted included urgent need for intervention in the alleged illegal oil exploration, environmental pollution, epidemic outbreak, and communal clashes as a result of operations of Starling Global Oil Company at Ogu, Igbele, Obaro, Federal Constituency of Anambra State, as moved by Representative Chukwuka Onyema from Anambra State.
Urge Sterling Global Oil Exploration and Energy Company to cease operations in Oguibele pending the visit by the committee.
To consult a committee to visit the
community and the exploration site with a view of ascertaining the legality of the operational agreement and compliance. I report back to the House within 2 weeks.
Motion by Representative Tajudeen Obasa from Lagos State on the need to investigate the alleged fraudulent activities in the presidential amnesty program was also adopted.
Since the proclamation of the amnesty program, the federal government has spent a lot of resources in training many youths of the area, both locally and internationally. It has become imperative to investigate these allegations for the good of the Niger Delta people and the nations at large.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it.
The House also dissolved into the Committee of the Whole to consider and adopt various committee reports, including the investigative report on the low concessionary tariff given to various companies by the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. From the National Assembly, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
As the ECOWAS parliamentary convenes for its first ordinary session this year, the Speaker of the Parliament, Mustafa Cissé Lo, says though there have been some challenges in the effective actualization of most of the ECOWAS protocols for the desired integration of the people, there have been substantive progress made. The Speaker stated this at the opening of the session in Abuja, from where Joseph Orok now reports.
From the Moroccan team that were on observation mission at the session, the opening session of the Parliament also had special guests in attendance. Speaker Mustafa Cissé Lo says the Parliament will continue to sensitize and mobilize the people of the sub-region to appreciate and apply the various protocols of ECOWAS for the benefits of the people. He announced plans by the Parliament to ensure that the groundbreaking for the permanent sites of the legislature in Abuja holds before the end of the ordinary session. The President of ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Cassibrau, says peaceful parliamentary elections were held in Guinea-Bissau, while the recent parliamentary elections in Benin took place amidst tension. He, however, says ECOWAS will continue to intervene in member countries to support peaceful elections. The 3 weeks ordinary session of the ECOWAS parliaments in Abuja is for the parliaments to consider and adopt the localized meeting in Guinea-Bissau and Ghana, as well as attend to the various countries' reports of the sub-region. In Abuja, Joseph Orok, NTA News.
The federal government says it is working on modalities to make its national housing program affordable and seamless for eligible public workers. Speaking on Good Morning Nigeria, the Minister of Works, Power and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, said this formed part of government's commitment to addressing gaps in critical public infrastructure. Daniel Adirie tells us more.
Housing is among critical infrastructure that the Buhari administration is trying to address. The target is to vacate the staggering housing deficit put at between 18 and 20 million in 2018. In this regard, the National Housing Program is an attempt to provide quality and affordable housing for Nigerians across the country.
We're trying to find what people accept and what they can afford. Because we are mindful that there are many empty houses all over the country. We benchmark the income group between those who are in level 8 and level 14 in the public service. So whether you are in public service or not, if you are in private sector and you earn within that range, then you will see. But clearly, if you earn 50,000 naira a month, we don't expect that you will be applying to buy a 3-bedroom house.
With regards to road infrastructure, the minister said significant mileage has been achieved across the country, noting specifically progress made so far on the second Niger Bridge.
The bridge is now coming out of the water, as I've explained to people, that a bridge is built largely inside water. Most of the investment is under the sea and under the river, but the piers are out now, and the contractor is racing to conclude the foundation works before the onset of the rainy season.
Expatiating on the need for more financial resources, the minister also hinted on the complementary role of the subnational government.
In many federations, all the federations I've looked at, is the subnational governments who drive housing. What the federal government does is essentially what we are trying to do: policy, design, standards, and everything. And each state will then drive and demand as much as it desires.
Responding to the issue on the downstream chain of power supply, Minister Fashola said the ministry oversights the private distribution companies, but that it behoves the National Electricity Regulatory Commission (NEC) to address observed lapses by the DISCOs. The minister, however, called for more support from Nigerians to enable government to deliver the dividends of democracy. In Abuja, Daniel Adi.
Now, beyond the razzmatazz of the flag-off of the commencement of cargo delivery by train at the Kaduna Inland Dry Port, Oyinaya Kalu Oka takes a look at the impact of businesses and the reaction of the people.
Kaduna State, with the slogan Center of Learning, is said to be one of the industrial centers of northern Nigeria. Agriculture is the largest employer of labor, with the cultivation of ginger taking large quantity with unique quality. Statistics reveal that farmers in Kaduna State in 2018 harvested more than 700 metric tons of ginger. Most of this ginger were exported. In 2018, about 5 containers of ginger was exported through the Kaduna dry port. This, the farmers said, is a small percentage compared to what it will be with the train service at the dry ports.
We know that in Nigeria, our export level is quite low, but with the new regime and all, our export is coming up. So with this new innovative way of exporting ginger, it will be great for farmers here to export their ginger without stress and reduce the risk of ginger getting spoiled and all that.
Transportation cost has always been the major problem of food and then transportation of goods.
In the 80s, Kaduna was bubbling with different manufacturing industries that created hundreds of jobs. Several challenges, including the ones experienced at the seaports, affected the closure and low production at these industries.
Congestion at the port in Lagos, means clearing issues, all those things are difficult to handle.
We're here in one of the manufacturing industries in Kaduna, and we're here to get the pulse of the people on what is the impact of this dry port.
It has made business easy. It has made transactions very easy. It has made life easy.
To create more opportunities for unemployed to be able to be employed. So that
the dry port in Kaduna is something absolutely excellent for us.
The impact of the dry port is to be extended to the neighboring countries like Niger and Chad.
Suka yi ta asara, shi yasa 'yan Nijar suka koma porkin Kwatano da porkin Accra da porkin Abidjan. Amma yanzu mu abin da muka zo muka gani, Najeriya ta daidaito harkoki ya kammala, har ma gashi an kawo dry port a Kaduna, kenan zai sauwake mana.
With the commencement of train service at the Kaduna Inland Dry Ports, many say it is a clear indication that federal government is committed to diversifying and repositioning the economy. Oyinaya Kaloka, NTA News.
Now, records show that one of the major causes of road traffic accidents on Nigeria roads is poorly maintained vehicles. In Akure, the Ondo State capital, the rickety condition of trucks being used to ferry logs is now a major cause for concern for motorists, road safety officials and stakeholders as they pose dangers to other road users. It's over now to Bailumi Akano for more.
This is a common sight on major internal roads in Akure, the Ondo State capital. It is that of a heavily overburdened, old, rickety, and sometimes poorly managed truck, carrying logs and meandering through traffic and sometimes marketplaces. Fatalities have been recorded in the past, while the trucks have on many occasions broken down right in the middle of the road, even with their logs. The truth is that the case of the rickety trucks is near hopeless. Information available indicates that the production of this model of Bedford trucks stopped 28 years ago.
You see that I bring it to this thing. And what happened is that this tire is stopping an alignment. This lorry, if it has no brake, you can drive it. with load, but depend on what you are driving. We find it difficult to get the parts. Now there's no new parts again. We don't have the new parts. Where we can get the parts from Benin, and it is from the old truck they used to butcher it before you can get other parts from it.
This no doubt raises serious safety concerns as the trucks are still combing the forest for more logs to ferry into town.
My office and the office of the SC to the transport, so to the executive government, we are working out a program of which we will need to call them on the roundtable talk to ensure that they ensure safety of all the profession. Because you observe that the recent times they are always carrying excess luggages.
The various sawmilling factories which dotted Akure are always a beehive of activities with freshly felled logs of various species, some of them immature, making the sawmilling business one of the most lucrative. But whether the forest can support or survive the uncontrolled felling of trees is a report for another day. In Akure, Pelumi Akou, NTA News.
The Gombe-Biu bypass road, referred to as the Bermuda Triangle of Nigeria, has remained life-threatening in recent years. Abdurrahman Aliyu reports on the road and why it needs urgent attention from authorities concerned.
The completion of the Gombe-Biu bypass road reduced significantly the rate of accidents in the city center, which claimed lives over the years, until recently when increased human activities and population growth turned the area into another death trap. Only recently, 2 major accidents involving petrol and diesel tankers were recorded along the bypass road, claiming 18 lives and destroying several houses as well as properties worth millions of naira. The Federal Road Safety Corps conduct routine patrol on the road with little impact as the bypass, which served as inlet and outlet of tanks from Gombe, Borno, Adamawa and Taraba State.
We have also asked government to think in that direction. It may not necessarily be dualizing the place, because even if you dualize it, it's still not a bypass. But if they must create a bypass, then let them look of alternative route that will really be a bypass.
Equally disturbed by the continued loss of lives and property due to traffic accidents involving heavy trucks, the Gombe Field Office of the Department of Petroleum Resources called for a briefing to profile solution.
Acquiring
Now, love means different things to different people. But what does love mean to you? I will be telling you why I'm asking when News Extra returns in just a moment. Join us again.
The Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, Anambra State, wishes to inform the general public that the university will hold its 13th convocation ceremonies from Monday 6th to Friday 10th May 2019. Program of event: Wednesday 8th May, convocation lecture by former Senate President Senator Ken Nnamani on national integration, peace and development. Venue: University Auditorium, time 1 p.m. Thursday 9th May, 11 a.m., award of first degree at Convocation Arena. Friday 10th May 2019, commissioning of newly completed projects, award of higher degrees and honorary degrees to His Royal Majesty Obi Alfred Achebe, Sir Emeka Ofo and Ambassador Babagana Kingibe, as well as installation of emeriti professors. Announcer, Professor Joseph E. Ahaneku, Vice Chancellor, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka.
What we are really cultivating here is a better future for all Nigerian women. And it's not always easy. Panadol Extra relieves headache, backache, joint pain, toothache, and menstrual pain. The pain is worth it.
From our wonderful family, meet Patty for celebrating the high points of life with friends. And then then there's me, Jolly Jolly, bringing nourishment to every gathering. Packed with healthy nutrition, nourishing vitamins, power of protein, strength of calcium, revitalizing energy, Hollandia yogurt is bursting with goodness inside and out. Hollandia yogurt, it's all good. Hollandia!
I thought leaving the country was the best decision for me and my future.
I left for a better life.
We were picked up by immigration officials and sent to a detention camp.
I spent 8 months in the detention camp.
There was no food, no water.
I saw people being beaten like animals.
Some women were raped. Some women were sold as slaves.
I thought I would never see my loved ones again.
I have made the biggest mistake of my life.
I have wasted all my savings.
I have to start all over again.
Migration is a human phenomenon which cannot be stopped. But if we choose to migrate, we advocate that it should be done in a safe, orderly, regular, and dignified way, and not in a dangerous and tortuous manner.
This message is brought to you by the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons.
You're still watching NTA News Extra. Time now to take you live to our Lagos network studio, where Abolade Salami is standing by with business news. It's over to you, Abolade.
Thank you, Fatima. Good evening and welcome to the business news segment. Let's start tonight analyzing the first quarter performance of the Consumer Goods Index. Equities market began this week on a bearish note, depreciating by 5 basis points to settle at the 29,000 psychological line, with market capitalization declining by 5.7 billion naira to close at 11 trillion naira. 42 equities depreciated in price, with banking sector down by 4% and consumer goods taking a large chunk of the loss, depreciating by 10.39% year to date. David Adonri attributes the huge drop in consumer goods sector to sale pressure.
The consumer goods sector is down and the situation is worrisome. Is only next to the industrial sector in terms of the decline that has been suffered so far in the year. And if you prorate the situation in the consumer goods sector, probably throughout the year you can guess a forecast that it may be down by up to 30 or 35%. Well, that may not in reality happen because this is a market and things can dramatically change without any warning. But so far, judging from what the factors that drive the market, if you look at the first quarter earnings in that sector, they were not impressive at all, just like the industrial sector.
And still staying put on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the losing streak in the Nigerian capital market extended to a third-day trading session, with the Osha Index down by 0.45%. Here are details of midweek trading.
That sound of the gong signifies the close of trading session for the day. Midweek trading ended in the red, depreciating by 0.45% to close the all-share index below the 29% basis points. Volume of shares traded stood at 324 million, valued at 3.24 billion naira, which exchanged hands in 3,631 deals and a market capitalization of 10.8 trillion naira. At a glass, Dangote flour and Cadbury appreciated in figures, while Dangote cement, Mobil and Guarantee declined in figures. On sectoral performance, virtually all the sectors finished in the red territory as NSC Banking, NSC Industrial, Insurance, and NSC Oil and Gas depreciated by 0.77%, 0.16%, 0.42%, and 0.02%, while the consumer goods had a rebound of 0.12%. And that's it on Stock Market Report.
And away from the equities markets, Nigeria will adopt an efficient international arbitration as a dispute resolution mechanism to develop the nation's drive for foreign investors. Chairman, International Chamber of Commerce, Nigeria, Mike Ibokwe, SAN, at the Guardian in Lagos, said this approach will further promote Nigeria's stand on the map of investment destination. The economic policies of the federal government, which focus on setting Nigeria on the trajectory of growth and diversification of its source of earnings, in fourth quarter of 2018 saw the nation's gross domestic product grow by 1.93% overall in 2018, more than 0.82% it recorded in 2017. Thus, relatively economic growth in the economy rekindled the confidence of foreign investors in the economy, with an increase of $438.84 million foreign direct investment in Q3 of 2018, towards expanding the base of foreign direct investment, as well as increased capital flow into the Nigerian domestic market. The International Chamber of Commerce Nigeria is emphasizing the need for Nigerian business community to adopt arbitration in the settlement of disputes that may arise from any business investment.
As you may know, Africa is a huge continent which is currently very attractive as an investment destination. Foreign investors often insist on an efficient international arbitration as a dispute settlement mechanism to be adopted in the settlement of any dispute that may arise from their investments. And that's where we come in.
Nigeria became a member of International Chamber of Commerce in 1979 and later reorganized in 1999 to enhance trade and investment, which seeks to encourage the use of arbitration in the resolution of disputes in investments across Africa. And that's it on business news. The news continues with Fatima in Abuja. Good evening.
Many thanks. Now, the prospect of unlocking wealth inherent in the sub-region is dear to the agenda of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. This, it believes, can best be achieved through trade facilitation made possible by the free movement of people, goods and services. Michael Olale examines the various initiatives to guarantee this protocol since it was activated in 1979.
Since the treaty establishing ECOWAS was signed over 40 years ago, the quest for a borderless region became topmost in its agenda. The search for a valid document to facilitate this ambition started in 1979 when the Free Movement Protocol was signed by member states. This did not only give way for the abolition of visa as traveling document, but permit citizens of member states free entry and exit from any member state for a period of 90 days.
Then ECOWAS introduced a travel certificate. But, we realized that that travel certificate is, just paper-based. It's not technologically enhanced. And that's why the heads of state have taken this bold step to have this biometric identity card.
The biometric identity card is a reflection of the Commission's determination to institutionalize the third phase of the Free Movement Protocol, which borders on the right of establishments.
This is with respect to the aspirations of the community for full enjoyment of the human rights of citizens and realization of human security.
Apart from Ghana, Guinea-Bissau and Senegal, who are already using the biometric ID card as traveling documents, Nigeria is at the stage of production, while Benin Republic is to begin distribution before the end of the year.
The member states, the optional features, might decide to even use it as a voter's ID card, just like the Republic of Senegal has done, or they can use it for payment services, depending on how big their security is.
With a validity period of 10 years, ECOWAS says the biometric identity card is the answer to the challenge of insecurity, crimes, and porous border, inhibiting trade and investment in the sub-region.
Having a biometric identity card doesn't mean all crime stops, but it helps with regulating and the movement of people, knowing who is doing what where, both for economic purposes and for the purposes of security.
Although the stipulated time for the full implementation of the new traveling documents among ECOWAS citizens expired last year, if regional integration is the key to economic prosperity, more commitment is expected from other West African countries to ensure that the biometric identity card is seen as the key to unlocking the potential in the region. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NT News.
50 tractors have been refurbished and ready for use as part of efforts towards enhancing mechanized agriculture under the auspices of NCAMP of the Nigeria Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, NISRAL. The program, which is in partnership with the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, and Machine Equipment Consortium Agency, MECA, displayed the pilot phase of the refurbished tractors at the Scientific Equipment Development Institute, SEDI, Mina, Niger State. Fatima Abbas has that report.
Statistics shows that there are approximately 6.5 tractors per every 100 square kilometer of arable land in Nigeria. This goes against the global requirement of a minimum of 200 tractors per 100 square kilometers. This informed the partnership of these three organizations, NESAL, NASENI, and MECA, in the last quarter of 2017 towards the recovery of over 50,000 tractors across the country to support the efforts of the federal government in the diversification of the economy and to achieve food security through mechanized farming.
Our role basically in this is to make sure that we facilitate a relationship among different stakeholders to come together and make mechanization work for Nigeria.
This will affect the farmers by having access, and not just access, affordable access to mechanization services.
We volunteer our men to be involved in this recovery system as well as the management of the tractors.
This partnership, the collaborators say, has been successful with many stakeholders expressing interest. Thus, the program is achieving more than what was projected. 172 people also got directly engaged, while another 550 were indirectly employed in the course of resuscitating the 50 tractors in the workshop of the program at the Scientific Equipment and Development Institute, Mina. Fatima Abbas, NTA News.
The federal government is mandating its ministries, departments and agencies to prioritize the use of information and communication technology, ICT, for improved efficiency in their service delivery to the public. The Director General, Bureau of Public Service Reforms, Ibrahim Arabi, who has been championing the policy, has taken the message to the Federal Road Safety Corps. Olabode Arewa was there and now reports.
The warm handshake and smile from the Corps Marshal welcomed the Director General of the Bureau of Public Service Reforms to the Federal Safety Corps. This encouraged the team from the BPSR to state their mission, which of course centered on efficiency and professionalism in public service delivery.
We have a program that is called Launch and Seminars.
We've been attending.
Yes, so I think we'll look at giving you a date.
Yes.
FRSC Corps Marshal Boboyo Yemi, whose agency has since employed ICT in the services, solicited support and cooperation of Nigerian motoring public to reduce carnage on roads.
The rate at which people violate the use of forward driving is alarming. So that is why I'm happy that we're almost in the last process of the reenactment of the Act. The fines are too low, does not serve as reforms. So we want, if the fines is being increased to maybe a minimum of 50,000. So if you pay 100,000 for use of forward driving, you will think twice.
The two agencies also resolved to conduct a periodic review of progress being made in implementing their strategic goals. In Abuja, Olabodarewa, NTA News.
The translation of the word love means different things to different people depending on the scenario. So, what does love mean to you? This year's World Red Cross Day is centered on the word love. Basi Itaipan tells us more.
The 2019 theme is love, which is a message from the Red Cross calling on the world to live in peace, show love to one another, as love is the only thing that can bring sustained peace and unity in the world. So why love?
It's because we need love so that we can cooperate and stop the corruption in Nigeria.
Love we are talking about today should affect everybody. People should imbibe the spirit of love. If there is love within one another, there won't be problem.
God has made us one nation. Call us Nigerians. We must love one another.
The Red Cross, born in 1963, was originally set for the relief of the wounded. With the red emblem, the day is celebrated on the 8th of May to mark the birth of the founding fathers. It also commemorates the principles of the movement.
It's founded by a man called Henry Donat. That time, what he did was to save life. And what we also do now is to save life. That is why you see that the moment there's disaster, anywhere you find Red Cross.
But we do not just celebrate because of Henry Donat, we celebrate because of support to the humanity that is unable to help itself, the vulnerable.
We need to show concern to one another. We need to have a good rapport, good relationship with one another.
The International Federation of Red Cross Societies is the world's largest humanitarian network and is guided by 7 fundamental principles: humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independence, voluntary service, universality, and unity. Red Cross has been involved in humanitarian services in many countries of the world, including Nigeria. Basi Taipan, NTA News.
Well, Nigerians are well known for being their brother's keepers. It is not surprising, therefore, that the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons has, true to type, distributed food items to Cameroonian refugees at border communities in Taraba State. Joseph Otsen reports that about 500 households benefited from the gesture.
Since last year, some local governments in Taraba State, bordering the Republic of Cameroon, have been witnessing steady influx of Cameroonian refugees due to crisis in the country. The National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons is gradually locating the refugees and providing support to make life better. Those taking refuge in Usa local government area, estimated to be in 524 households, are now breathing sigh of relief as the commission reached out to them with food items.
We are here to ensure that the care, maintenance, and empowerment materials that we brought were distributed to our displaced loved ones so that they can begin to find a good life once more.
We are suffering seriously. Where to sleep, kitchen utensils, clothing.
We don't go to our workplaces. We don't have farmlands here. Even we have small farmlands here, the working style here, is different from us. So we are actually suffering.
Members of the host community see the donation as cushioning, given they are also bearing heavy brunt of the crisis.
And I think the countries in which they come from will be so pleased and be grateful. Their security and safety that we promise.
There are reports that thousands are still trapped in the Cameroonian borders and struggling to cross over to Nigeria as the crisis persists. Joseph Sound Otsen, NTA News.
Well, it is not only in Taraba that the Cameroonian refugees are settled. There are some in Benue, as well. And the Refugee Commission did not ignore them, as hundreds of them who fled to a settlement in Kwande local government area of the state following a crisis in their country have been visited. Here, the refugees commended the federal government of Nigeria for its show of concern for them. Achikili Magaji has that report.
This is Anyake refugee camp in Kwande local government area of Benue State, where Cameroonian refugees have been kept here by the federal government and National Commission for Refugees. Some of them have come here with their hopes and dreams. And we have one of such persons with us here, Mr. Lois. Mr. Lois, what is your situation?
When the crisis started and some of us were displaced, my parents live in the Francophone zone of Cameroon.
Mr. Lois Kum is not alone, as others recount their experiences.
I run alone. I don't know my family where they are now, and I derived from Boya.
Located at the foot of Cameroonian highlands bordering Benue State and Kwande local government area, the camp has 21 communities of 18 clusters each, though they have been receiving donations from the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, the federal government, and the European Union. Many of the people say they take to small plot farming to augment these gestures. This prompted the federal government through the commission to bring agricultural implements, household items, foodstuff, and building materials.
We are here to do a symbolic distribution. This is just a 1/4 of the materials that we come to share.
As you make complaints, God helping us, we will do our best to meet your needs.
They have been displaced since October 2017 from southern Cameroon due to crisis emanating from the agitation for sovereignty. The Commission has also handed over similar items to the Benue State Emergency Management Agency for onward distribution to various IDP camps in the state. In Makudi, Achigili Magaji, NTA News.
Gender equality and women's empowerment is the closest step for sustainable development. Now, did I hear you say who said this? Well, find out when News Extra returns in just a moment. Stay with us.
They are there at the crack of dawn. They are there busy preparing while we rise for our day. They are there silently, guarding, waiting, listening, and watching. They are there ready in the sky above and the waters below, in the blistering heat of the day, in the dead of night, willing, indefatigable, determined in the defense of the sovereignty of our country. They are our first line of defense and our last. They who have paid the ultimate price in defending us. They are fathers and uncles. They are mothers and sisters and girlfriends and boyfriends. They are brothers and cousins and best friends and neighbors. They are classmates, colleagues, and citizens of this nation. They are our defenders and deserve our respect, our prayers, our thoughts. Nigeria, please support our armed forces.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online, or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Thank you for joining us. Now, the spate of insecurities such as banditry, kidnapping, armed robbery, cattle rustling, and community clashes, as well as insurgency, among others, call for joint collaboration by all citizens. Guests on Tuesday Live emphasized the need for a policy framework that will enhance better funding of the community policing strategy and capacity building for those involved. Doi Dia has more on that report.
Having been globally accepted, the concept of community policing was first introduced in Nigeria in 2004 to complement security agents' efforts at securing the nation. Even though it was not domesticated by all states of the Federation, the concept was said to have achieved its aim, especially in the few areas where it was introduced. The recent spate of violent crimes and its adverse consequences on national development informed the decision by President Muhammadu Buhari to again revisit it and call for domestication across board. Guests on Tuesday Live stressed the need for the engagement of community leaders, professional and religious bodies, and all stakeholders for effective collaboration that will keep out crime out of the communities.
Going by the evidence of our eyes, recently in terms of the crime situation, in terms of people's perception of policing, it means that philosophy has not gone down the way it was intended.
It is the AIG and the CP commands of those zones that are the change agents who are supposed to be driving the concept of community policing in those areas.
And also with the force of support that the president is given, I think that is a good way to continue this process.
On efficiency and sustenance of the community policing strategies, funding and proper orientation, they noted, is key. Since funding is said to be a major challenge to the effective running of community policing in Nigeria, guests on the show emphasized the need for state government to support the cause.
I'm sure if the police will come up with a robust protocol on what to do, the governors will certainly assist, and I will take this message to the governors' board.
The panelists agree that there is the need to revisit the social system, especially the family institution, to reorientate the youth. These, they say, will also serve as a good mechanism for proper profiling of individuals to be recruited into the police force. In Abuja, Doi Dia, NT News.
Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje signs Kano State Emir's Appointment Amendment Law of 2019. Abdullahi Mustafa reports that this allows the creation of 4 additional emirates in the state.
Barely 3 hours after its passage, Kano Assembly Speaker Kabir Al-Hassan Rum, alongside other principal officers, took the draft Kano State Emir's Appointment and Deposition Amendment Bill to Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. This is to ensure immediate assent and timely takeoff of 4 additional emirates created by the amendment. By appending his signature, Rano, Karai, Gaya and Bichi districts have been upgraded to first-class emirates.
In order to get the active participation of traditional rulers, there is need to appreciate them. There is need to upgrade them based on their historical antecedent.
Governor Ganduje disclosed that new emirs will soon be appointed for the 4 additional emirates. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Journalism in the 21st century is technology-driven, and for practitioners to operate optimally, they must keep abreast of digital innovations in the world of information and communication. It is against this backdrop that foremost cyber company, Google, organized a training session for news writers and producers in Lagos. Paul Omukago has the details.
Getting oneself acquainted with the use of digital tools in research, scripting, and presentation no doubt enhances the practice of journalism. It also assists in eliminating facts that are not verifiable. The Google training, besides sharpening the skills of media practitioners, is aimed at encouraging data and evidence-based journalism. Against the background of meeting deadline, the training seeks to expose journalists to modern facilities that hasten the process of double-checking facts.
The gatekeepers, the people who sort of ensure that the information going out into society, into the public, is true and is verified and is factual, are the media. The internet allows us or gives them a platform to be able to sort of manage this at scale.
Participants drawn from different media organizations, including the NTA Lagos Network Center, assess the training this way.
I'm excited about the Google reverse search, which gives you information about a picture that you may have ended up using wrongly. But this time around, you'll find information regarding that picture that will make you use it appropriately.
It teaches us how to search, how to localize your search, how to verify information.
Data is helping to give more insight in storytelling, and newsrooms all around the world are imbibing data journalism, and of course NTA, we don't want to be left out.
You need some of the tools that have been taught here today to do a proper research and get what you want.
This Google training is one of many steps by the NTA to boost the productivity of the staff here at the Lagos Network Center.
In Lagos, Paul Omukago, NTA News.
In the meantime, the second phase of training for festival and carnival managers got underway in Accra, the Ghanaian capital, with a call on countries in West Africa to design tourism packages that will greatly integrate the private sector for a sustainable growth. Anthony Forson has more on that.
The MOU between Nigeria and British Council was signed in 2016. The package is to promote festivals and carnivals in Nigeria, as well as mapping out the creative industry. The first phase of the festival and carnival managers training took place in Nigeria with 46 managers. And in taking up with the second phase, the training witnessed Nigeria extending a hand of friendship to other West African countries and the southern region, which took place in Accra, Ghana. The Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Deaconess Grace Isugekwe, stood in for the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed. She spoke on the gains of the training, the Nigerian government's desire to make the sector gain the status of a revenue earner, job and wealth creator.
The Ministry of Information and Culture secured a pioneer status for the creative industry to enable investors in the sector benefit from the incentives such as tax holiday and withholding tax on dividends. The Ministry will continue to promulgate policies for the development of the sector in terms of packaging, presentation, capacity building, training, technical skill, as well as creating and providing support.
The Nigerian High Commissioner to Ghana took time out to visit the participants, where he enjoined them to make the best use of the opportunity given them to contribute to the growth of the sector, given the enormous potentials inherent in it.
The essence of a workshop of this nature is not just for you, but to be able to impart knowledge when you get back home. When you have an opportunity of this nature, you travel. And you go back home and you don't add value, you have wasted your time. I'm sorry to say. If you don't add value, you don't do things quite different from the way you have been doing it. Then why are you here?
The training had facilitators from the United Kingdom who took the participants through the rudiments and technicalities of managing carnivals and festivals. The participants on their part expressed appreciation for the opportunity given them by Nigeria and the British Council to expand their knowledge on how to manage festivals and carnivals, knowing that Nigeria is a land with diverse cultural heritage. On the sidelines were exhibitions by some states that took part in the training. Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Now, gender equality and women's empowerment is the closest step to a magic formula for sustainable development. The President of the United Nations General Assembly, Maria Espinosa, said this when she engaged the representatives of Nigerian women at the National Center for Women Development in Abuja. Adebola Brooksland Sunday has details of this and her other meetings in Abuja.
4 decades ago, women the world over celebrated the adoption of the elimination of all forms of discrimination against them. Dissatisfied with where women are today, Maria Espinosa is in Nigeria in continuation of her advocacy for the full inclusion of women and girls in efforts to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. She scored Nigeria high in the area of women development with a view to making other countries to take a cue.
It is progress that 24% of parliamentarians are women. But this is not parity. We don't have parity yet. And we know that women in politics face enormous hurdles, including verbal, physical, and sexual abuse. This cannot continue.
The federal government of Nigeria, under His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, created economic structures and infrastructures to facilitate investments and contribute to job creation for the teeming young population, especially women.
Dr. Mrs. Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, the wife of the president, has been pushing the issue of women forward, not only at national level, but also at international level.
Although Maria Espinosa prides herself as the first Latin American and 4th woman to attain the position of the President of the United Nations General Assembly, she advocates more higher position for women in all parts of the world. From the Women's Center, the President proceeded to University of Abuja, where she engaged the students on the need to do their best in order to excel in any field they have chosen.
You are instinctively multilateral and multilateralists. This is why we cannot afford to exclude you from decision-making.
Some of the students had the opportunity to interact and tap from a wealth of experience and put in perspective their expectations.
The UN, as a mother body of all nations in the world, should make and postulate a policy that would be and serve as a watchdog towards African leaders.
The way to go about it is entrepreneurship. If youth can involve in entrepreneurship, do things for themselves, through that we can be able to develop our country and ourselves.
Maria Espinosa arrived Nigeria from Chad and from here to Ghana for the continuation of our official visit to the African region. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Many thanks, Adebola. Now, as Nigeria joins the rest of the world to celebrate 100 years of the International Labour Organization, ILO, which brought social justice in the workplace, the need to prepare to cope with the new challenges arising from the future of work is a task before the ILO for another 100 years to come. Emmanuel Ayimiro reports that the 60 years of ILO in Africa was also marked with the recognition of some social partners.
Established in 1919, the International Labour Organization has impacted positively on the workplace through a number of conventional standards which have helped to improve livelihood and enthrone sustainable development.
Of 45 countries in 1919, the ILO has now grown to 187 countries at the start of 2019. I'm particularly delighted that in this room today we have 3 governing body members of the ILO. Nigeria is represented on the governing body by the workers' delegates, the employers' delegates, and soon the government to be represented as a full titular member on the governing body of the ILO.
Imagine a world where we don't have global standards and the right at work. A world where it will be the survival of the fittest. Or a world where we'll be celebrating only wealth without also celebrating social justice.
As we celebrate the productive years of service by ILO to us, all its constituents, we should recommit ourselves to the laudable obligations commended to us through the Declaration of Fundamental Principles and Rights at Work.
Nigeria's relationship with the ILO started in 1959 when it became the first African country where ILO office was established. Since then, over 40 ILO's conventions have been ratified and domesticated.
It is our sincere hope that the next 60 and 100 years will be more promising and beneficial than the last.
3 prominent social partners of the tripartite body were honored with the ILO Centenary Award. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
Well, we are not done yet, as we'll bring you sports when we come back in just a moment. Don't go away. We're glad to have you back with us. And now for a bit on sports. Tottenham sets up an All-English Champions League final by beating Ajax 3-2 away.